Okay, we are in laboratory of SANlight. There is a couple of tables or two chambers and different sectors when they test different light intensity and also UV, what is in the next chamber. Martin, tell us something because I thank you that you invited me also to this chamber. This is the most interesting part for me. So. Yeah. Tell us, what are you doing here and how it works?
What we are doing here is, in general, most of our research is done in this laboratory. We have had many laboratories before. You visit them before. Yeah. Now, technology-wise, I believe now we have the best one, which is really a working one, which helps us to do scientifically research. On the one hand, we are doing basis research, very basic research. How about spectrums, light intensities, influence, growing of plants? We are testing freaky things. But on the other hand, we try to figure out recipes to give a customer the idea if he is doing this, he will end up with that.
Okay.
That's one of the biggest topics we are trying to help our customers. Even for the small customer, it can be interesting to know how a plant performs at 24 degree in comparison to 28 degree, for example. But for the professional, it's more interesting to
Yeah. Cool. So I see plants are ready for harvest, and some of them, or most of them, have really big buds. These plants looks really nice, really healthy. So can you tell us what recipe we can use to reach such a nice big buds and healthy plants? Because I see most of these plants has big buds and heavy buds, and they are really healthy. They are 1 day before harvest, what I know. And yes, so what temperature are you following? What humidity in veg stage, in flowering stage? Can you tell us something about progress here and what strains you have here and so on?
Okay, so in general, we are testing in this room, we are testing out different dimming strategies. That means a few tables got from the 4th day of veg the full light intensity of 1100 micromole. These two middle tables, they got the full intensity at the 1st day of flowering with 1100 micromole, and the table behind, they got this high intensity at the 21st day of flowering.
Okay.
So we have different energy consumption and are trying to find out what's the best way to save the maximum of energy without losing any gram of yield.
Yes, okay.
On the left-hand side, from our point of view, we have from Royal Queen Seeds the critical, which is a very well-performing plant, very homogeneous in the plant size and looking. You see they're almost looking the same.
Yes, yes.
On the other side, we have the Zombie Bright from Ripper Seeds. It's also doing fine, but in this trial, as we have done it the first time, the plants ran out in height. So we needed to top them, I believe. Without topping, the plants would be not much nicer.
Yeah.
So yeah, if we want to have nice pictures, we need to redo it again.
Yes, yes.
But that's not important for this test here.
Yes, yes,
because
yes.
every table has been treated the same. In general, we recommend to start at a pretty low light intensity. That means you're starting at 300 micromoles, maybe 400 micromoles in the veg phase, with a pretty low temperature too, roughly 24 degrees if possible, and a high humidity of 78% relative humidity. To stay, what we are trying to stay exactly in the middle of the recommended VPD.
Okay.
Because the problem of VPD is measuring of the leaf temperature. So we are measuring with a camera system, we are measuring with these hand sensors, these infrared sensors, and we are measuring directly on the leaf. And the interesting thing is that 3 measuring types, 3 measuring results.
Yes,
so
yes.
what we definitely can recommend is VPD tables are nice, but try to be in the middle, because the VPD is influenced not just by room temperature, it's influenced by leaf temperature
That's
too.
right, yeah.
And it's hard to detect the exact leaf temperature. So try to be in the middle of the VPD, that you have enough range if leaf temperature is maybe a half degree cooler or hotter as you think.
Yes, yes.
So our temperature
Good to know,
and humidity
good to follow.
recommendations are always try to fix it at the middle. That means 24 degrees, 78% humidity at the beginning.
Okay.
Then we are going high during the veg phase to 25 degrees and 74% of humidity. Even in the early flowering phase, we are just rising up to 26 degrees with a lower humidity of 64. And as soon as the bud development really starts to prevent mold, we need to bring down the humidity anyway. And vice versa, this means we need to bring up the temperature.
Yes.
So during the flowering phase, beginning at week 2 or 3, we are rising the temperature to 28 degrees and roughly 50 to 55% humidity, and are ending up in these results.
You are adding CO2 in this room, or what CO2 level you are keeping here?
Scientific purpose, we need to run the system as a closed loop system. That means we need to add CO2 anyway. But in these trials, we try to figure out some home grow use case. That means we are using roughly 600 ppm of CO2. That means in a room where people are living, you have roughly the 600 ppm of CO2. So it's like at home.
And did you try to grow in with higher temperature as well, or above 30 degrees, or?
For sure, yeah, above 30 degrees, especially if you use CO2 pretty intensive. It's recommended to use higher temperatures, but at the end you are losing quality too, So my clear opinion, as higher the temperature, for sure it can be too high too, but as higher the temperature, as more yield at the end of your grow, but as lower the quality, because terpenes start to disappear at 24 degrees. So every degree higher at the end is stealing your terpenes. But on the other hand, you're getting more yield. So our clear recommendation is this 28, at somewhere in the middle of having a nice terpene profile at the end of your grow and having a nice yield. But for sure, we would be able to maximize, especially at high intensities. We are working here with 1,100 micromole. It would be more yield if we rise for 30 degrees, for example.
Okay, very nice. You are growing in soil, what I know, or and using mineral fertilizers at the moment.
Yes, we are using mineral.
Did you try also some organic stuff?
Many times, You visited also the Mankis farm in Switzerland before, which has been on the one hand a laboratory, on the other hand a standard CBD production. In the production line, for sure, we used organic nutrients because this definitely improved the quality of the yield. That's a fact. But for scientific purpose, it's hard to do it because we do not know what's happening exactly. We do not know for sure. You know what you are bringing into your soil, but then all the microorganisms start to do something, and at the end you're about somewhere. We don't know it, and therefore we are using minerals.
Mineral fertilizers are more precise. It's easier to control what plants are getting, and also it's easier to control environment inside a pot, because we can much easier know what EC and all the stuff is inside a pot. Much easier than when you try to measure it with organic fertilizers. So there are 3 sub-chambers, let's say, and you said that on the first they had a full intensity from the first day. These are the full intensity once they enter flowering stage. Right? and that they had full strength for full intensity or the highest intensity from the fourth week.
From the beginning of the end of the third week, so
Yeah,
day
okay.
21 of
Okay,
flowering.
okay,
Yeah.
okay, great. When I look at this, my subjective subjective solution or subjectively, I think that this part is the best, especially if I know that it uses less energy than this part.
Yeah.
Yeah. And comparing to that part, I think this one looks a little bit better. So you will see when you cut it, when you measure, when you weigh how much material you had, and also maybe you will make also evaluation in laboratory, like cannabinoid content and so on. Yeah, yeah. So we are curious about the results, and I'm sure Martin will share it with us.
Yeah, for
right.
sure, 100%.
Okay, so I see there is a nice air conditioning system. So you are able to keep the stable conditions, or
Yes.
yeah,
Which
so,
is very important.
yeah,
Because scientific research can't be done in a home grow tent.
Yes,
That's a fact.
yes.
For sure, it's not impossible, but you have many influencing factors in a grow. And we try to eliminate or to make every influencing factor as stable as possible.
Yeah.
So we have here temperature, humidity, CO2 under very good control. That means almost no deviations. But for sure, the soil itself is one influencing factor, which you have somehow under control with measuring. So we measured the nutrient content of the soil before we started in every pot, that we really have the same. But it's one factor which is somehow drifting a little bit.
Yes. Good.
And also commonly we are doing that with clones. At the moment, as we moved into this new laboratory, we didn't want to have clones with some pests on it.
Yes.
So at the same time, this is also our selection grow, and out of the best plants, we will do mothers.
Yes.
And then next round will be done with the clones from these mothers.
Yeah, good. This is what I also say quite often to people, that there are some environment which is optimal, there are some conditions which is really optimal, but when growing home it's hard to reach them, but you can always try to get as close to optimal conditions as you can. But don't be sad when you cannot keep the temperature and humidity on in exact borders you want to keep it, because you have to do as good as you are able. But this air conditioning system was really expensive, and you don't want to spend this time this amount of money. It's better to go to buy wheat anywhere around your living area, if it's legal in your living area, of course. So I have to repeat that SANlight has a license to grow high THC strains, so everything what you see is illegal. So it's not some secret lab which is not legal. So you have to know law in your area, so you can grow only what law is allowing you to do. Can you tell us, Martin, what is your average yield per square meter?
Wow, it's a hard answer or a hard question, because I would say the biggest influencing factor is the strain itself.
That's right. I can agree.
So worst scenario is that you end up with 400 grams per square meter.
Okay.
Best scenario is that you end up with 1 kilogram per square meter, depending on the strain. I would guess that this will be at the end. So these plants will have 1 or 2 weeks to harvest. I believe we will end up with let's say 700 grams on a square meter. That's my guess. But I haven't grown this strain before, so then it's a hard guess anymore. But in sum, if you have the parameters under control and if you have a high yielding strain, so 700 grams per square meter is nothing special.
Yes,
that's reachable pretty easily, even at home. So as you mentioned, it's not that important to fix the temperature at a certain level. Do it like ever you can. Because here in the laboratory we need these fixed numbers to repeat the trials. So the trials should be repeatable, and for that we need these exact fixed temperature and humidity levels. If you don't have it, you can have the same results at home, definitely.
What is the power of light per square meter in this trial?
Let me calculate. We have Evo 5 120. That means if we dim them, or if we give 100% power, it would be 1280 watts. But they are dimmed down to 80% to reach this 1100 micromole. So 80% from, it's roughly a little bit above 1000 watt. That means 500 watt per square meter.
Per square meter. Okay, but with a really nice buds in the end. So you said another extra 2 weeks they will get, or this goes to
they have another 2 weeks.
Harvest for today, tomorrow harvest is in the second room.
In the second
room. So I mix it up a little bit. So just another 2 weeks, because especially this bud looks that it really needs extra
additional time. This one not, but if you look to the other side, there you have buds. You see it clearly that they need more time. So I think they will blow up a little bit more, but just a little bit, and then they're getting more compact by the end.
What is like big buds are always nice to see. It's nice to picture them, but quite often, especially in a home condition, you have to throw away half of this bud because it's full of mold.
That can happen.
I like it for picture. I like it if you have great conditions. But for home growers, I suggest more topping and try to not get so big mass at once, because it's then the mold is a real problem. You don't have this problem here with a proper air conditioning system, right?
Yes.
You don't need, you don't use any disinfection system.
Nothing.
Okay.
For sure, after every grow, we clean the room with every tool we have. But generally, hot damp is one of the most effective method to clean. That's it. But
it's really nice. I think lots of people are sad when they hear that somebody will burn it and not use it. So, but as it is. Unfortunately, you cannot use it even for patients or something like that. You cannot. It's not allowed. It's a pity, but it is as it is.
We are one of 3 companies in Austria who has this license, and we are really thankful to have it. Because it helps definitely,
of course,
for our development, and it helps our customers too.
You have. Are you using heat from the grow chambers, let's say, for heating your offices, or are you trying to use energy using for this, which would be normally thrown in the air? Are you using it for heating the water, for example?
Yes, as we are working with a water-cooled air conditioning system, that means we always have warm water and cold water as soon as the climate control system starts running. And in general, you have more heat as you need. That's the reason why we have these outside chillers, what you can see at every home climate system. But we are reusing this heat, so if we don't use it here in the laboratory, we will heat up the rest of the building, our offices, the production, the stock, to save energy.
Yes.
That's one big goal for us, to grow with the lowest CO2 footprint as possible. We have a photovoltaic system on the rooftop. Yes, and all this combination makes it interesting. And I believe, on the one hand, it sounds crazy, that indoor growing is made a future for an energy efficient way of growing. But I'm a strong believer in that. I'm a believer that for sure a greenhouse, you have free light, but you don't have your climate under control.
Yes.
And especially if you check CO2 footprint, the heating of the greenhouse is very energy inefficient at the end, because greenhouse is seldom a closed loop system. It's most time an open loop system. So you are heating all the surroundings, you're heating up your environment, and just a part of the heat is into the greenhouse. So in a closed loop indoor system, you have the advantage that you can reuse the wasted heat, and so be pretty good in CO2 footprint. And the other thing is, during winter, and here in Austria we have the same situation as in Czechia. We have long winters with many cold nights, and that means for us we can reverse the air conditioning system. That means as soon as we have lower than 6 degrees outside temperature, we reverse the air conditioning system and picking up the coolness from outside. That means we are just need to pump water, and then we are getting 60 kilowatt of cooling power by just 2 kilowatt of electrical power, and that's very efficient.
That's what carbon active company is also doing, like using, when it's cold outside, use cold. When it's hot outside, use it's hot. It's impressive, I have to say. I'm surprised what you said about greenhouse growing, about your opinion about greenhouse growing and indoor growing, because in greenhouse you also have need a lot of energy to cool them. For sure. So both things. My opinion for the future of cannabis growing is that in greenhouses on the south part of Europe, there will be like a main area for large-scale growing, but I also believe that for home growers and for smaller growers, like using of energy, which is normal wasting, will be more sophisticated, and if you will have at home your 1 or 2 square meters, you will be able, for example, to heat your water or to heat your house. Okay, Martin, is there something you would like to recommend home growers mostly, or growers in general, what to focus on, or some general advice?
Some general advice for sure. Use the SANlight. No general advice at all, but I would say read our blog section. There are many informations how to use a SANlight. That's one of the reasons why we are doing that. And keep in mind that not every plant can produce a maximum yield, but may has other advantages. It's not all about yield, it's also about quality. It's a subjective opinion what's good and what's not. And don't be sad if it's not running like this. May your wheat has other advantages.
We have been talking about UV trial as well in this in your laboratory. We are in one chamber, and in second chamber I saw there are some UV bars between EVOs. So what is the design of this trial?
So again, we have the same situation like here. but in between we have additional UV. We are working over there with 900 micromole as basic PPFD from our EVOS, and we are adding on 2 tables 100 micromole with a wavelength of 365 nanometers to this 900 micromole. So we are working 900 micromole standard spectrum plus 100 micromole 365 nanometers for 12 hours a day. And the other 2 tables, they are working again with 900 micromole basic spectrum plus 100 micromole of 420 nanometer, which is in general not UV, but we have seen it by many competitors and they are claiming that it's better, and so we try, or we think, yeah, it's worth to test it out if it's work or not. At the moment, I can't tell you the outcome, because we need to dry and harvest first. This will be done the next days, so it's not long for a first result. But we have done this trial in our own laboratory, and the outcome has been pretty poor. But there has been one other factor in, so the light intensity hasn't been 100 micromoles all the day, just a few hours of the day. Because also we read that in many articles that it's recommended to use UV at a lower dosage, and so we tried to redo that. But the outcome was that there is for sure a deviation in every trial, so these plants won't have exact the same THC and cannabinoid levels and terpene levels as this. There will be small difference even if we are doing it exactly the same.
That's right.
And into this deviation of 3%, we measured the effect of UV. So at the end, we cannot tell anything. The only thing what we can say is, okay, if you add 100 micromoles, 365 nanometers for 6 hours a day, then you don't have any beneficial effect on terpene and cannabinoid level, and the same for the 420 nanometers. Now we are adding more UV in the other chamber, and now let's have a look at the output then.
If out changed or not.
Yeah.
Okay, Martin. I think we discussed all things I wanted to know. I hope you said also everything you wanted to say to people. We discussed the watering system, we discussed light, setting, temperature, humidity. The last thing maybe I didn't ask you, how long have been these plants in the vegetative stage?
2 weeks roughly.
2 weeks
so
from
day
seed,
1,
or 2 weeks from it was planted in pots? I think from.
So we are counting veg day 1 from the first real leaf. So we have the leaf from the seedling, the round one, and as soon as we have the first real leaf, we are counting with day 1. And then 14 days in vegetative phase. So maybe it's not for 100%, but roughly 14 days. I don't have it in mind exactly.
Good. So we're moving glides up and down in this trial laboratory.
We are moving it up and down to have always the same footprint of light, and the dimming is done by our Bluetooth.
Yes. Okay. Perfect. From my side, it's everything. I thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
To invite me here, to let me in, to explain everything. It's always a pleasure to come here to see how it works. I think this is not the last visit. Hopefully, for me too. And I will continue watching your development, and also we discussed that we can, if there is something interesting, we can do it also in your laboratory to make some tests here, or share the news what you find here. So it's really good. Thank you for listening, watching this video, or listening this podcast, and I say goodbye for now and say goodbye to Martin as well. Have a nice day.
Have a nice day. Bye-bye.